This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, hello, whatever time it is with you and wherever you are. Thank you for downloading this SmackDown review as part of the WWE podcast. As always, it's an absolute pleasure to have you listening along, and thank you so much to everyone for the follows this week on Twitter. For anyone who hasn't done so yet and would like to, please give me a follow. I am at Amanda SD Pod. That's at Amanda SD Pod. Now guys, this is show number 13 for me today. Unlucky for some, but 13's always been a pretty lucky number for me, so I think this should be a good one. And as Matt's been advertising this week, I am off on my holidays for 3 weeks, meaning that next week, which is the show airing on the 27th of September, will be my last one for 3 weeks. I'm going on holiday to Europe, and I'm not confident that the Wi-Fi will stand up to me watching and recording a show, and I certainly don't want to let you guys or Matt down. So Matt's kindly found a sub to take care of the SmackDown review for the 3 weeks I'm away. I'm already looking forward to getting back to it. Slightly gutted that I'm going to miss Bad Blood. I will try and watch it, but I've tried to watch PLEs from abroad before. I do have NordVPN, which can help me get onto the network from abroad, but it really just depends on the local Wi-Fi. So fingers crossed I can at least see Bad Blood. If not, I will make sure that I'm downloading all the preview and review shows that Matt and the guys will do while I'm away, so I can keep a track of everything. I have got permission from Matt as well to record a different show for you, obviously wrestling related, which I plan to do once I'm back from holiday, probably in a couple of weeks after I'm back from my holiday. I want to do a standalone one-off show reviewing a particular area, which hopefully you guys will be interested in. But I'll give you a bit more news on that once I'm back and back into the rock and roll of things back here. So guys, it's not long now till the Vince McMahon documentary airs. I think that's the 26th of September, which would be next Thursday as I record today. I really can't wait to see that, and I will endeavour to have watched it by the next time we record. So we can have a little bit of opinion on that. So if you guys want to watch, we can have some interactions on Twitter. That would be fab. And what did you guys think of Raw this week? I think the highlight for me was the Punk promo. I really liked where he just completely changed his tone and the cadence of his voice. It felt like we were getting something quite different from him. So I'm looking forward to, hopefully, fingers crossed, being able to watch Bad Blood. It's shaping up to be pretty awesome. So let's dive in to the review of this week's SmackDown, which aired on 20th of September, and it was from Sacramento in California. So the show starts off pre-titles with a reminder of last week's steel cage match between Solo and Cody, including the after-match shenanigans with Roman and the New Bloodline. As we're getting that vignette, some of Roman's promo is played over the top, which is a nice touch. And then we get a replay of the whole of Roman's promo, Cody's response, and the challenge laid down by Solo. Finally, we get the contract being signed and a reminder of the match that's been made, which is obviously Cody teaming with Roman against Solo and Jacob for Bad Blood, which should be good. As the show starts properly, we get the New Bloodline arriving through what looks like airport security. We get the Tongans going through first, setting off the metal detector and having some beef with the security when they try and pat them down. And we get Jacob Fatu coming through, again setting off the alarm, getting patted down, and then beating up security for having the audacity to pat him down. Cole then tells us that the Bloodline have been running riot since their arrival today, and it's because they're embarrassed at what happened last week with Roman Reigns. The first match out tonight is the US Championship match. Now guys, we didn't get any titles here in the UK. Did anyone else? I'm not sure what happened, whether it was a timing issue or sometimes we missed bits and bobs because of different sponsorships and advertising. So we went straight into action tonight. No titles at all. So LA Knight comes out to a huge pop, as always. Cole tells us that so far Knight's title reign has been a success, which I completely agree with, and it's nice to see he's defended so much more often than Logan Paul did already. This is a mid-card championship belt after all, so we should get frequent defences and there should be a reasonable amount on the TV, which there is, so I think I'm very happy with his reign so far. We then get Andrade out, who definitely doesn't get as big a pop as Knight, but is still very well received. And we get a quick reminder from the comms team that Andrade got here by beating Carmelo 2-3 in their 5-match series. I wonder if there will be any shenanigans from Carmelo tonight. I love the new graphics, not just the ones that are on the screen, but as it was a title match, we had a very close-up 3D sort of flyover of the title, and it looked pretty cool. As we kick off, Andrade offers the handshake tonight, which he accepts. I'm not sure how this is going to go down. Face versus face can sometimes be a bit disappointing. So we get a very quick start from Andrade, who goes for a cradle, which Knight kicks out of easily. And then we get Knight going for a quick BFT, but Andrade escapes and we go for a break. Just a word here on the breaks. Felt like for us in the UK, I don't know how the TV coverage works in other areas, but felt like we got many more breaks tonight. I noticed, because I was watching on Catch Up on Sky in the UK here, and I did notice that by the time we got to 18 minutes, we'd already had 2 advert breaks, which is more than normal. So next week I will try and count up exactly how many we have. I wonder if the new TV deal has resulted in need for more advert breaks or something like that. But so everything felt slightly more fragmented than normal this evening. But as we get back from the break, we get Andrade has the upper hand, but Knight fights back as they trade punches and chops. Andrade hits a crossbody from the top and goes for the cover, but Knight kicks out, and he retains the upper hand as he gets Knight in a headlock, who fights out and floors Andrade with a massive clothesline. The fight goes outside the ring, with Knight smashing Andrade's head off the announce table. Knight then chucks Andrade back into the ring and hits a slingshot shoulder tackle. Try and say that with a mouthful of wine gums. And goes for the cover. Andrade kicks out in 2. And he then manages to turn things around and has Knight on the apron, running Knight face first into the ring post. Andrade goes to the top and hits the moonsault to the outside as Knight is taken out, and we go for another break. As we get back from the break, Andrade is still in control and Knight is down in the corner. Andrade with some stomps on Knight and goes for double knees, but he misses. Knight tries to hit double knees, but again, Andrade manages to kick out. Knight is now back on top with Andrade back in the corner. Knight hits a neck breaker and goes for another cover. Again, Andrade kicks out, and the momentum switches again, and we have Andrade on top. He goes to the top rope and hits his double moonsault, which as always is absolutely beautiful. And somehow he manages to connect, even though Knight was a moving target, which is really just phenomenal. So he hits the moonsault, gets a really close 2 cover. The crowd shouting, "This is awesome," which really it is. It's an absolutely phenomenal match. Knight catches Andrade mid-move and slams him into the mat, going up to the top, hitting the elbow. He goes for the BFT, but Andrade counters and delivers his spinning back elbow for the pinfall, but Knight kicks out again. Andrade looking for the final message, but fails as Knight moves and counters with the BFT. He gets the cover and the pin, retaining the US title. I thought, what an awesome match this was. I knew it would be good, but sometimes face versus face can disappoint, but this didn't. I honestly don't remember Andrade being this good from his first run. Maybe he was, and I wasn't paying the right kind of attention. But this match was superb, and nice to see the payoff from the best of 5 series with Carmelo ending in something meaningful. I enjoyed the best of 5 as well, because the quality of the matches was good, but it also made us care about both guys. It allowed them to show the full range of their talent and sets them both up nicely for a further push. So all in all, a great start to tonight's show. We get some after-match highlights of the match, and to be honest, it looks even better in slow motion. So double thumbs up from me. Really good. Cole reminds us that Bad Blood is 2 weeks away. Blimey, Charlie. Is it me, or have the PLEs just been flying round this year? Feels like every 3 or 4 weeks we've had one, and they've all been such good quality. Anyway, he reminds us that we don't know who Nia Jax will face for her title, and we get to see what happened last week with the challenge she made to Bayley and Naomi last week. Winner faces Nia, loser leaves SmackDown. We don't know if Bayley covers Tiffany. Does Tiffany leave SmackDown? We don't know that yet. Anyway, I'm sure we'll find out. We go backstage where we have Tiffany and Nia. And Tiffy is talking about how they're going to beat the brakes off Bayley and Naomi. And then we get confirmation that if Tiffy gets covered, Nia thinks she will have to leave SmackDown. That's kind of a cool angle. I think a lot could be done with that, so let's see how it plays out. Up next, we are going to have the face-to-face with Cody and Roman in Atlanta, which is obviously Cody's hometown. We will hear their thoughts ahead of the tag match against the Bloodline at Bad Blood. Before that, though, we see Andrade backstage bumping into Carmelo, who starts taking the mickey out of Andrade's loss and says a phrase I have never heard in my life, which was, "Put the fries in the bag, bro, you're washed." I have no idea what that means, but it certainly seemed to annoy Andrade, who started punching Carmelo, and maybe this feud isn't over. Andrade is getting him good before the refs bundle in, as always, to pull them apart and split them up. So now we go to the face-to-face between Roman and Cody. This is a very atmospheric video, and we get footage of the arrival of a procession of big black cars to the football field, which is, we then find out, Roman's sort of procession. He arrives first, getting out of the middle car, makes his way to the centre of the field, and then we get a single sports car driving its way through the town, making his way to the field, and Cody steps out of the sports car to meet Roman. Roman says, "Do you see the ground you stand on? Everything you put your eyes on is mine. Years ago, he shed blood, sweat and tears on this field. That means it's his field, as it is his stadium and the city." He asks Cody what he has done for the city. Cody then goes on to name some local landmarks and arenas, and said that multiple generations of his family have lived here and bled here. And Roman may have played football here, but this is Cody's home. Roman says, "Yes, this is your home. Let's cut to the chase and get to the facts." Roman says that Cody has everything to lose and is dealing with people who have nothing to lose. He says they took his Jimmy, his wise man, his bloodline, and his Unafala. He says for the first time in a long time, he has no weight on his neck, nothing more to lose. Cody says, "Am I meant to be surprised?" He told Roman he would eventually be a chief without a tribe back 2 WrestleManias ago. Cody says, you take a look around WWE. We already have a tribal chief. It's not you. We already have a WWE champion. It's not you. If he can't beat the bloodline, who is he? Cody says it's just Roman Reigns. This looks to have rattled Roman and asks Cody what he wants. Cody says he wants Roman's word that he will have his back so that Cody can have his. Roman gives his word, but says once this is all done, he is taking back what's his. The title, I guess, but also maybe the bloodline and the tribal chiefdom too. Roman tells Cody he is in his way, so Cody moves, but Roman says, no, you're in my way in life. And this was good, very cinematic. Felt like a bit throwback to the pandemic era, and we got a lot of this kind of stuff in empty stadiums for some reason. I still want to know why Cody has agreed to do this, as Roman is right. He has absolutely no genuine reason. I still don't get why Cody would be so helpful to Roman. I know he's a babyface, but there's got to be limits. I really hope in the next 2 weeks we can tease out a little bit more detail with this, but after the lack of detail that we got for the Cody KO match, I'm not going to hold my breath. Don't get me wrong, I have no doubt this will be an awesome match, and it's an important building block in the Bloodline versus Bloodline storyline. But the reason why Cody would be up for this and risk his health, fitness, etc. when he's seen the brutality of the new bloodline, plus he's not doing it for one of his mates, he's doing it for Roman. I just don't get it. So I'm really hoping that we get something. And that Cody gets a chance to explain, or they build it somehow. So we're back to tonight's action, and we go backstage where it looks like KO has been watching the same video package as we have. He's got a funny look on his face. Byron approaches him for his thoughts with the amount of history that KO has with both guys. KO just looks slightly annoyed and walks away. We then see KO looking thoughtful backstage, and Cole says he is clearly still in deep thought, as there is a lot of history between the three of them, so they seem to be rebuilding KO back into this one. We then go back to the ring for the next match of the evening, where we have Apollo Crews already out. No entrance for him again. Have they recorded over his music? I don't know, but we haven't had any Apollo Crews proper entrance for weeks now. And this is after his shock victory over Giovanni Vinci a couple of weeks ago, and it looks like this is the rematch. Out comes Vinci, and this week he doesn't bother with his fancy tracksuit. He's dressed in his trunks, ready to go, so we don't have to worry about him getting stuck in it again. We get a replay of 2 weeks ago where Crews nicked the win. We ring the bell tonight, and we're off. Vinci gets the early upper hand, getting Crews into the corner and literally chopping the hell out of him. Crews fights back and the two trade blows. Vinci hits a massive clothesline and has Crews down, smashing him with kicks and punches. He's repeatedly slamming Crews against the ropes, but from absolutely nowhere, and I rewound and watched this bit twice, couldn't quite see how this happened, but from absolutely nowhere, Crews somehow slips underneath Vinci, countering what looks like it's going to be a power slam, and gets a sneaky pin for another win for Apollo Crews, which means we have to stop calling him Apollo Lose and call him Apollo Crews. Post-match, Vinci takes out his embarrassment on Crews, beating him down, hitting a brainbuster in the ring. He seems quite mad to have lost again to Crews, and the crowd are booing Vinci loudly. Clearly, we're building to something here. I have to say I'm a little bit surprised again. I thought with all the hype around his return that Vinci was going to come back and just run through his first few opponents, but clearly not. And I am glad about that. It's different. And for it to be Apollo Crews, I think it's good. And this is set to be a bit of more blooming genius storytelling, and look forward to seeing how this one plays out. But nice to see Apollo Crews being used in something slightly more meaningful. We now return to the backstage area where once again Byron approaches KO for his thoughts on the Cody Roman versus Bloodline match. KO says no offence, but if he's going to talk, he will do it in the ring, and Cole calls Byron a pest. As we come back from yet another break, KO makes his entrance to the ring to talk, and he thanks the crowd for their reaction. He says he's aware that a lot of people want to know what he thinks of the situation between Cody and Roman, and how it makes him feel after everything that happened after the last few years. Yes, we do. He's about to tell us, and then Tongaloa Tamatonga with Jacob Fatu come out to massive boos. Tamatonga says, you better let the right-hand man speak. He says last week Roman Reigns embarrassed the tribal chief, and that was a big mistake, but he will get what's coming to him at Bad Blood. Tonight, KO will get what's coming to him by order of the real tribal chief, Solo Sikoa, who isn't here tonight, by the way, guys. No sign of Solo. KO says, before you start talking again, we all know how this ends, so why not cut to the chase, get in the ring, and let me punch you in the face. Predictably, he is very quickly overcome by the three of them, but DIY come out to make the save and do a great job of clearing the ring. Out comes our GM, Nick Aldis, or Oblivion the Gladiator as we know him. He says he is getting sick and tired of them fighting with no bell ringing, and makes the match KO and DIY versus the Bloodline later on tonight. Excellent. That should be a good match. We then go to the backstage area where we see Naomi talking to Bayley. In the locker room as they prepare for their match, Naomi says that this ends tonight and neither of them will leave SmackDown. We get a bit of back and forth about when I'm champion you'll get the title shot, and then when I'm champion we'll have a party and then we'll talk about title shots, etc, etc. They seem to be on the same page as each other, I'd say ish, but I still think there's plenty of room for manoeuvre there. We're going straight into this match now, so we have Nia making her entrance with Tiffany in tow. Tiffany doesn't get any music this week, she's just a lackey of Nia tonight. Another break, and then back from that break we get the big entrance from Naomi to a good reaction, followed by Bayley, who as always gets a great reaction. I'll tell you what I noticed tonight, that Bayley's gone back to her hugger costume. She's wearing the Macho Man type jacket with all the stringy bits on it. Her hair seems to be getting long. I wonder if we are going back to the hugger at some point. I really, really hope not. But let's see. As they are on the ring apron ready to start, Bayley actually gets stuck in her jacket, and Naomi has to help her out of it, which is a good display of teamwork early doors. It's a tornado tag, this match, which basically means no tags, and it's just a 4-woman free-for-all, really. We kick off quickly, Nia and Naomi, Bayley and Tiffany. Nia and Tiffy both get the early upper hand in the early knock-ins, but then there's a quick switch. Bayley and Naomi doing some great work together to get the beat down on Nia and Tiffy. They are actually looking pretty good. They pull off a nice double move on both ropes and both cover Nia, which is awkward. Nia counters and launches Naomi basically to space as the heels take control, as, yes, you guessed it, we go for another break. As we come back, Bayley has Tiffany outside the ring, throws her into the barricade and follows it with a suicide dive, taking out Nia. Naomi and Bayley have Tiffy beat in the ring. Bayley goes for the cover, but Naomi pulls her off, which causes a bit of a pause in the action. And then takes the bullet from Nia, pushing Bayley out of the way, so it kind of makes amends. All women now back in the ring. Nia gains control, positioning Naomi for the Annihilator, but Bayley saves her. And the two attempt to finish on Nia, but Tiffany saves. We get Tiffany and Naomi covered at the same time, but both kick out in two. And the crowd here are 100% behind Bayley, cheering for Bayley. I think they really want to see her get the championship opportunity. Tiffany takes out Nia by accident with a swanton, Bayley and Naomi hit 1D on Tiffy. Nia is back up with a Samoan drop on Bayley, and Naomi rushes in with a pin that is very messy and very hard to tell who pins who, but the 3 count is called. It's not clear at the end which of Naomi or Bayley got the pin, but they definitely got the win as a team. Cole says that we hope to find out later. Nia looks shocked, and Tiffany is profusely apologising, I'm guessing, for the accidental swanton on Nia. This was a decent match. I enjoyed it. Nice to see the woman get some time on the show, which we haven't necessarily seen in the last few weeks. And nice to see a very different type of match. We don't see many tornado tags with the women, so that was a lot of fun. We continue to tease the uneasy relationship between Tiffany and Nia. And as expected, the winner, who gets the pin angle, made the match more interesting, as well as what happens if Tiffy loses, which didn't happen, but still, it made it all much more fun to watch. So all in all, really enjoyable match, and let's see who actually won. We then go straight to a vignette of Chelsea Green. She's at a tip, and she has a line about taking out the trash. She says it's unfair that she is fighting Meechin on her own turf, which I assume means she thinks Meechin lives in a tip. The whole thing is about the dumpster match, basically, between Meechin and Chelsea in 2 weeks in Tennessee. So the week before the go-home show for Bad Blood, that'll be, which should be fun. I'm like that we're getting to see all different kinds of matches, particularly for the women. Really, really good. I hope they don't make Chelsea Green just stupid and pink wearing, though, because she is so much more than that. So hopefully they'll move away from that ever so slightly, because she is actually pretty badass. We get a look at next week's card and see that we're having Carmelo versus Andrade match number 6. So that's not an odd number. So assuming that Carmelo's potentially going to win that, and then we'll have to see where we go from there. Maybe Decider at Bad Blood, but I'm not sure they're going to add anything more to the card for Bad Blood, but we'll see. We then go backstage with Bayley, Naomi and Nick trying to sort out the messy end to the match earlier. Nick says, you both pinned Nia, so you both have a claim to the title shot, but there can be only one. So the solution will be next week, Naomi versus Bayley, and the winner gets Nia. So that should be good. Naomi and Bayley's always a good match. We've seen it a couple times now. And we've seen them work together. They've certainly got chemistry. Personally, my heart would like to see Bayley get the win to face Nia, but I'm not sure what is going to happen with that. So let's see, because obviously we have recently seen Bayley Nia. Anyway, let's see where we go there. So now, guys, we get the main event. KO makes his entrance, followed by DIY, whose music hits, but they don't come out. And we go backstage to find them being beaten down by the Bloodline pretty badly, leaving KO alone in the ring as they head out, and KO faces them up on the ramp. But again, the Bloodline quickly get the upper hand, start to beat down KO, making the numbers game pay. The Street Profits come out to make the save, and KO takes out everyone from the top rope. We go to, yes, you guessed it, another break. And the match didn't start yet, but when we come back from the break, the match is underway. So now we have the Street Profits teaming with KO. And the Profits and KO are in charge. At first, with Ford going for a quick cover, Profits stay in charge, tags in Dawkins with another cover, following a lovely double team move by the Profits. And then we get KO in from the tag with yet another cover. And the crowd are chanting for the OTC. Tongaloa gets the Bloodline back into it, tagging Fatu, who starts a beatdown on Ford. Fatu then quickly tags Tonga, who hits a move over the top as his entrance into the match. Tonga goes for a cover, which is kicked out of, and tags back in Fatu, who hits a massive kick and wipes out Ford. Fatu follows up with Ford, But Ford moves, gets a tag to Dawkins, who takes out everyone, but gets caught by a huge kick from Fatu. And who goes up to the top and hits a moonsault as we go to another break. As we come back, the Bloodline are still in charge. Tonga's in the ring, has Dawkins in a chokehold. Dawkins looks to power out and starts to fight back, breaking the hold with a fall-away slam on Tonga. But he tags in Fatu once again, who is absolutely brutal. Dawkins manages to get the tag, as does Fatu. Ford hits a crossbody from the top and follows with a big clothesline. We get some kicks and a standing moonsault into the cover for a close pin. KO is tagged in and first of all takes out the two on the outside. A run-in sent on to Fatu and a splash to Tongaloa. And it's now 1-on-1 with a cannonball to Tonga. KO goes up to the top again. Tonga meets in there and they fight on the top. KO with a huge move from the top and a cover, which Tongaloa breaks up. KO hits the stunner, but again the count is broken, and the ref rings the bell with a DQ, as then all hell breaks loose with a mass brawl on the outside. The Bloodline sets up the announce table. It looks like KO is going through it, but he manages to fight back. Back in the ring, Fatu takes out Ford, and the Bloodline return their attention to KO. And now out come DIY, looking very limpy and very beat down to try and help. Definitely showing signs of their attack earlier. KO continues to get beat down by the Bloodline. DIY are easily dispatched. And then finally we get Cody coming out with the chair, taking out the Bloodline. They turn tail and run away. Cody hits the Cody Cutter on Fatu, and it looks for a second like KO is going to hit Cody in the back with the chair, but he drops it as Cody offers his hand and they hug it out. We go off air with Cody and KO standing in the ring looking strong, which makes a nice change from us going off air and the Bloodline standing strong. A good show again this week. Lots of storylines progressing and some excellent in-ring action. I was initially annoyed that we didn't get to hear much from KO, but I guess his actions speak louder than any words could with the way we finished off tonight. So I guess we know his thoughts on the match that's been set for Bad Blood. I'm intrigued to see how the Bayley and Naomi match plays out next week and how we continue the series between Andrade and Carmelo. The quality of the wrestling and the storytelling is absolutely top notch at the moment. So I've very, very few complaints. So all in all, a really strong show. And looking forward to how we progress into Bad Blood. So guys, that just about does it for this week's show once again, and as always, thank you for having me in your ears. Thank you for your comments and interactions in the week. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a brilliant week, and until next time, remember, be kind.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.